Fanfic Corner, presented by Jennifer. Journey to Peace, Chapter 17. The light-hearted mood that had followed Callum and Rayla into the dining hall died as soon as they entered. The mood inside, held by Ezrin, Amaya, Claudia, and Rand, was somber and frustrated, laced with anger. As they paused at the threshold, Callum studied their faces quickly. Ezrin looked frustrated. Sad, but frustrated. Amaya looked like she was ready to kill someone. So fairly angry. And Claudia looked pretty upset as well. Rand, though a lot harder to read, had anger mingling with sadness written on his face. What happened? Rayla's voice was tight as she spoke from his side. Apparently she'd noticed the same things he had. Claudia finished her research on the Shadow Beings Viren Summit, Ezrin said softly. Rayla frowned. What's so bad about that? Doesn't that mean we can get rid of them now? Rand's lips pressed into an even thinner line. It's not that simple. Rayla's face lost the confused frown. It can never be simple, can it? So what makes it complicated? Callum asked. Claudia sighed. From what I understand, there are 2 ways to disband the spell. And? Rayla prompted. Well, do you want the much easier one, or do you want the one you like? Random question. Why does Rand look like he wants to stab someone? Callum cut in, somewhat hoping to ease the tension. Callum, this is not the time for that question. That's way too much. It has to do with the tradition and respect for the fallen. Rand's voice was tight as he interrupted, eyes narrowed as if glaring at an invisible enemy. Callum closed his mouth instantly, nodding a silent understanding even if he was still thoroughly confused. So what are these ways to disband the spell? Rayla asked, voice level. Claudia said, the first way is the easier way. If it changes from case to case, but since these are warriors, it would require fighting and defeating them. Rayla looked horrified. You mean re-kill them? Claudia nodded. Unfortunately. I hate dark magic. Rayla's voice was a hiss, not really meant to be heard, but Callum still caught it. Tell them the other way, Claudia, Ezra prompted. The other way seemed a lot harder, and I guess in ways more dangerous. It requires making a personal connection to the figures and basically reminding them of who they were in life. But there's one thing I don't know about the method. Everything I've read alludes to something happening when this method was used, but no details or even whether it was good or bad, so I couldn't find anything on what it meant. So what you're saying is the question isn't can we get rid of them, it's what's the best way to get rid of them. Pretty much. Ram let out a slow exhale. Rilla and I could make personal connections with the beings. What we don't know is what happens if we do. Wait. Callum looked between the two elves, confused. They both wore nearly identical expressions. Sadness and anger mingled with defeat. Claudia sighed. I can keep looking, but I don't know if I'll be able to find anything, she offered, looking upset. Ezrin looked from Ruan to Rayla and back a couple of times. Aunt Amaya and I will go back. We'll back whichever option, and I'm certain the other kingdoms don't care what we do to get rid of them. Whichever method makes you two want to use, we'll use. There was a moment of silence, Rayla and Ruan looking at each other, while Callum looked between them with utter confusion. He was really getting tired of being the one who was confused. Finally, Ruan nodded and looking back at Ezrin. We have to at least try the second method. We can't just kill them, even if they are creatures of dark magic now, Rayla added. Who are they? Callum finally got up the courage to ask. Everyone looked at him and Ruan sighed softly. The other assassins that were sent to kill your father and brother. Callum stared for a moment before nodding. All right, how do we do this? He finally asked. After the meeting, they'd actually had breakfast before going on their own ways. It had been decided that Ezrin would send word to the other rulers as to their plan and the update on the status with Zadia and the elves, as well as the fact that 2 elves were going to be traveling with them. Amaya would go with them to the other kingdoms, along with Commander Gren, while Corvus would stay with Ezrin. Claudia had dragged Callum off to show him books on primal magic, namely Sky, while Ruan and Rayla had gone to properly catch up and spar. Callum turned away from the painting as he heard Rayla coming up the stairs. She smiled when she saw him. So how was your day? Well, I spent the majority of it keeping knee-deep in books about primal magic and picking out a couple to bring with us so that I can continue my studies on it as we go. I've packed my sketchbook as well. He smiled softly as he stepped forward and stole a quick kiss. How was yours? She beamed, face lighting up with a smile. It was great. I don't think Rihanna and I spent that much time together in the last year. He smiled. That's great. I have something to show you. He took her hand and led her a couple of steps to show her the painting he'd done the previous night, still laid out on his desk. Callum, this is amazing. Her gaze scanned it over it, eyes wide, with a smile still on her lips. I couldn't really sleep last night, so next best thing. She chuckled, smiling at him as she turned her attention from the picture. It's beautiful. Not that I should be surprised as good as a drawer as you are. Thanks. I'm glad we managed to talk everything out. Me too. She finished for him, smiling softly. We should get to rest. There's another bed in there. I can take it, or you can, whichever you want. I think we'll be traveling again tomorrow, so I'm not eager to spend a night that far apart, so I'll make a bed on the floor. No way. If either of us are sleeping on the floor, it's me. I'll either be sleeping on the floor or we'll share the bed. Long story short, they ended up sharing the bed. their awkwardness melting away eventually. Needless to say, they woke up cuddling.